2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name is Caster Sata, and today I'm going to be casting a few games with Souldra. We're back in the LPL. Today we're going to be playing, showing this game between World Elite Gaming and Positive Energy.
Right. I mean, Team World Elite looks very strong right now, despite the loss of FCZF, Messiah, and Clear Love, also known as Troll, during the past LPL season, while Positive Energy, ever since the loss of their, world-famous, world-renowned bot lane of Name and Sika, have been looking a little shaky at the start of the season.
Hopefully they will be able to turn it around in this game against World Elite. Positive Energy, though, they have lost a few players that are of note. Of course, Name going to Edward Gaming, Sika splitting off to join OMG, and even Ziv also going to OMG.
Right, I mean, Positive Energy was pretty much just, devastated by these changes. I believe that the only remaining members from the, original old Positive Energy squad are K9s, also known as Aluko in that top lane, and Face. Jojo. Face, Summer, and I do not know who this man is in the support role, but I believe it's Tricky Boy, are all relatively new faces to this PE squad, and while individually they've looked mechanically fine in their lanes, and wow, we just had a really weird overlay problem right there.
Yeah, I know.
The team play has been a very suspect throughout their first series in the 2014 spring LPL season.
Hopefully they will be able to show us that they have been practicing and improving so far. Taking a look at their bans, they've banned away Ziggs from Sukim and Annie also from Conan. Did they miss their third ban?
So I believe that for this game, usually when in both the OGN and LPL, when a team there's a slight infraction, for example, when a team comes late, or there's another problem like that, teams usually lose a ban for one of these games. So it's not the biggest problem, and I think they just purposely missed a ban like that.
And that's a bit unfortunate considering we were just talking about how they have a changed up roster in this 2014 season of the LPL, and now that they've also got Summer, one of their subs, replacing YCC as an AD carry, they're going to have to really prove themselves on the stage tonight, and it looks like they seek to do exactly that, locking in a Lucian and Thresh combo, immediately trying to secure that bottom lane dominance.
Right, so Lucian and Thresh is a really good lane for Positive Energy, especially since Wei Zhao lately has really looked very aggressive and very proficient on his Lucian. But on the side for World Elite basically has everything they want. Chow Mei is very good at 1v1ing the top lane with his Shyvana, and Sukim is also does very well on his Gragas. So we could honestly look for Wei Zhao. He doesn't play a lot of hyper carries these days, but we can look for him to play some sort of hyper carry, especially since at least Sin, a Gragas, and another a nice peeling support can really let Wei Zhao do his thing and just completely assault the tank line of Positive Energy.
With Annie banned away from Positive Energy and Thresh secured, I'm a bit curious to see what they are going to be having in mind. Looks like Conan hovering over that Leona, going for exactly that peel support you talked about. And after yesterday's games between Edward Gaming and LDG, those hyper carries seem to be making a bit of a resurgence. Name did do very well on Lucian, but he was forced to play against Styles' Vayne, which just did such a great job with the Blade of the Ruined King Phantom Dancer combo.
Right, I mean, yesterday's games were honestly really good. Just to go to this really interesting Taric pick here, we do have to remember that this is that the 2014, at least the early weeks of the 2014 LPL season, is being played on the patch 3.15. That's why you see all of the old iconic summoner icons on your screen. Taric is honestly and if many of you will remember that Taric saw resurgence in patch 3.15 before his nerfs in patch 4.1, and Taric is honestly really strong, and I mean it's basically perfect for Wei Zhao. As I was talking about before, if Team World Elite can basically have Wei Zhao come out of team fights untouched, they will surely win this game.
And he is playing a rather safe AD carry on Sivir. He has Spell Shield to absorb Kha'Zix's initial burst and can even throw down on the hunt to position himself properly, so I expect to see some powerful play out of Wei Zhao. The laning phase, though, looks like it could be a bit of trouble, as laning against Thresh and Lucian is rather difficult for Sivir early on, as she does have a lot of mana problems.
Right. I mean, I have full confidence that Wei Zhao and Conan can come through on that lane, whether they decide to 2v2 or 2v1. I think that the biggest problem for both teams in general is whether Positive Energy's face can get onto Wei Zhao during team fights, because the nice thing about the Taric pick is that it's almost a direct reaction to Face's Kha'Zix pick. Kha'Zix has a lot of single target damage, but at the same time, Taric offers a one man just hard CC straight up stun. So if Conan can land that stun, then it might spell doom for a Positive Energy team fight.
We'll have to keep an eye on how well Face does. Hopefully, he will be able to show us his assassination capabilities, just about as good as Quan did yesterday on Kha'Zix.
Right. I mean, yeah, Quan did really well on that. On his Kha'Zix. The thing about Quan's Kha'Zix yesterday was that there were a bunch of other threats on the map besides Quan, and at this point, besides Quan, and that meant that Edward Gaming had to focus on a bunch of different targets at once, you know? But for the side of Positive Energy, Lucian Thresh is a pretty aggressive lane, but Lulu and Mundo don't really get that much ahead in the laning phase. Therefore, you have to wonder when Positive Energy and World Elite eventually meet up for those inevitable team fights around Dragon or in one of the river brushes, you have to wonder whether World Elite will allow Face's Kha'Zix to get on Wei Zhao that easily.
They do have a lot of peel with Sukim's Gragas. He can wait and save Explosive Cask. He could even throw down Dragon's Descent from Chow Mei to force a bit of disengage. So Face is going to have to be very tactical with his assassination attempts. And it looks like we're getting a defensive line out of Positive Energy. They want to play it safe. But on the other hand, World Elite, they were just grouped up just a moment ago, and I think they might try to go for a bit of a red invade to try to set Face behind.
Right, and we see a really standard fan coming out from these teams. We might actually see a 2v2 lane, which would be a slight win for Team Positive Energy. But Sata, you were talking about Sukim's Gragas pick earlier. It's really nice that you mentioned that, because one, Gragas can peel for anyone on the team, and two, there are actually 4 relatively squishy targets on the side of Positive Energy, all the way from Kha'Zix all the way down to Thresh. In around 30 minutes, his barrel roll and explosive cast combo can honestly just burst anyone down from 100 and 0. So you really have to look out for how Sukim decides to use his explosive cast ultimate on Gragas.
Hopefully he will be able to show us how effective he is with those explosive casks. We do have Aluko running forward, dropping a quick ward at the blue buff to keep an eye on Chow Mei and Ruo, just to make sure that they aren't going to go for any sort of funky start at red buff and then come up to blue. And I think that's just playing it safe for Summer and Tricky Boy. That means they're going to keep an eye on Lee Sin in the jungle. They'll know, oh, after he picks up blue, is he going to rotate towards top and try to get a gank onto Mundo? Is he going to rotate towards mid? Or go for a standard jungling path towards the red buff, which is going to allow Summer and Tricky Boy to decide how to pace these early levels against Wei Zhao and Conan.
Right at the start of the bat, you see that Conan on his Taric took a Targon's Brace as his first item, which is fine. I honestly think that my personal philosophy is that whenever you have a Sivir on your team who automatically offers that speed up starting from level 6, you don't really have to build into the talisman as a support. So honestly, I mean, hopefully, and World Elite, despite being in a losing lane, already looks like they're winning this matchup. Conan's Taric already uses 2 full procs on his Targon's Brace, and Wei Zhao is already 2 CS ahead of Summer, so it looks like at least early things look like they're going relatively well for Team World Elite.
Positive Energy going to have to play it careful. That Targon's Brace does passively push a lane as it does execute minions below. I believe it's 200 health, which if you don't quite time that with your AD carry can be a little bit difficult to secure the gold for which individual one. And there we just saw Conan cooperating with Wei Zhao to pick up the Execute 4 cannon minion, which provides the most gold per execution. And you're exactly right. World Elite is putting on a lot of early pressure in this bottom lane. Conan and Wei Zhao shoving it to the turret. We can already see Summer missing out on a little bit of farm. And Sukim in the mid lane even shoving against Jojo early on.
Right, and honestly, this is World Elite being very, very aggressive, at least in the early game, because you can see that they have no wards on Positive Energy's side of the jungle. So they effectively do not know they have no idea where Face's Kha'Zix is on the side of Positive Energy. So look for Face to try to take advantage of this lack of ward coverage to make a gank. One we might see right here.
Face just casually waiting for Sukim to overextend. Sukim does have his barrel roll, so he, body slam, so he shouldn't have that much trouble. Looks like he is going to rotate around and try to catch Sukim from behind. Jojo is going to have to be patient baiting this out. This could be very strong, and let's see if it does go in. Sukim sees Face come out of position. The slow goes down. Face misses his leap. Sukim just escapes without even having to burn his flash.
Right, I mean, honestly, the gank was fairly disadvantageous for World Elite right there, but here we see another fight going on bot.
A little bit of action as Ruo engaging onto Aluko in the top lane, throws down a bit of trade to force Aluko back, and Jojo just casually continuing to farm in the mid lane. And yes, here's the fight in the bottom lane. I think I'm a little bit behind you in the cast as Conan is taking a lot of damage. Summer throwing out auto attack after auto attack. He doesn't get the kill. Conan narrowly survives. A boomerang blade misses Summer. He's down to his last hit. The auto attack gets barrier baited. And Wei Zhao also having his own barrier could turn this around as there is no health potion on Summer. We'll have to see if Conan decides to go in. Conan doesn't have flash. And this is Tricky Boy now just waiting around in that bush. And I think we're not quite synced up in our cast.
Right. I mean, well, that might be the case. I am slightly pausing my cast so we can get caught up. But, I mean, it's pretty interesting because at 5 minutes 35 seconds into a Chinese LPL game, you usually see at least 1 or 2 kills. But so far, even though there's been a lot of aggression from both sides, we haven't seen anything yet. And that's pretty indicative of how even these teams are. Actually, I would say that's more indicative of how Positive Energy's team composition at least kind of beats World Elite's team composition early, and we can see that World Elite actually got a kill on the bottom lane, and hopefully that's synced up for you.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble. How about we both pause at 6 minutes and then sync right back up?
I'm actually at 6:15 almost right now.
Wow, I'm at 5:50. So how about you pause at whatever you're at?
I'll pause it, yeah.
What are you at?
I'm in a replay. Okay, I'm at 6:20, so I'll just wait for you to keep commentating that up.
Alrighty, so I'll catch up about 12 seconds, and then I'll pause, and we'll go ahead and give it another 3, 2, 1 go to try to sync up. Yeah, here's the replay.
No problem.
And yeah, that was Tricky Boy getting dived by Ruo, securing first blood of the game on over. Now I'm at 6:21, well, just immediately after 6:20.
That's fine.
And we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Sure.
And yeah, now Face going for the Wolves. Sorry for that little bit of sync trouble, little casting discrepancies. But first blood going over to World Elite on to Tarek actually was the one who secured that. Normally you do want to try to get the gold onto your AD carry, but in this case, I think it is going to benefit Conan on Tarek as he will be able to upgrade his Targon's Embrace to that level 2, which gives him more execution charges on the minions, and it's going to allow him to continue to push Summer back. And as there already is a lane advantage for World Elite in the bottom lane, it could snowball the game for them.
Right. Honestly, I was about to say every single one of World Elite's lanes are winning at this point. Shyvana's beating Mundo. Sukim's Gragas is outlaning Jojo's Lulu, and here we might see another gank at the top lane. But because all of the lanes are winning, it's not dire. They're not in a dire situation. It's not very important that World Elite lost that first blood to Conan's Tarek. But here we see a small skirmish in the top lane.
Chow Mei just going to use the burnout to escape. Face getting a nice solid isolation attack onto Chow Mei, but Chow Mei has got no problem soaking that back up. And you're exactly right. World Elite does have an early advantage. They're winning in just about all of their lanes, top, middle, and even bottom. And we can see a discrepancy in items as Summer forced to pick up double longswords to try to keep up with the damage from Wei Zhao, who was able to afford a lightning-fast BF sword. That's going to mean the lane advantage goes securely in favor of World Elite. And Ruo going for a second gank onto Aluko. Aluko actually doesn't have sadism. Here comes Ruo. Let's see if he is going to land the command dissonance. He does flash to dodge the Dragon's Descent, which is nice because he is also absorbing the Ignite. But Ruo is definitely capable of going for a dive with Chow Mei, as Chow Mei is very tanky on that Shyvana.
Right, Rue has his ultimate too, so expect there to be a kill right now. Oh,
They are going
that's
under.
unfortunate.
Let's see if Aluko is going to go. The Dragon's Rage goes down. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get it. Ruo takes another turret hit and falls, but Chow Mei gets the revenge kill onto Mundo.
Right, so I mean that gank did honestly it would have been better if Chow Mei had tanked the turret damage initially. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that quite effectively. But here we see positive energy going and posturing, and eventually they're going to take another dragon, almost completely uncontested. Besides Conan's Tarek walking into the pit.
Positive Energy need to take this dragon to get themselves back into the game. If we take a look at the gold, they are about 2,500 gold behind 9 minutes in, and that really closes it up. But the team fight breaks out. JoJo taking a lot of damage, forced to use Wild Growth to keep himself alive. Nobody has died quite yet. Summer gets caught in the dragon pit. He's not able to flash over the wall. Falls to Wei Zhao, who now has his first kill of the game. And in addition to that BF sword, that's going to be a very scary Sivir.
Yeah, unfortunately, Summer could not use his Relentless Pursuit to get over that slight bend in the Dragon Pit. Still, Positive Energy comes out with the Dragon, and that's a slight win for them, even though they did lose 1 or 2 members in the process.
Rather unfortunate for Positive Energy, as is still about a 2,500 gold difference between the two teams, despite that first dragon going over to Positive Energy. And still, World Elite increases their advantage all across the board. In the top lane, the Bilgewater Cutlass has been added to Shyvana's build, so she's going to be able to trade more effectively with Mundo, who only has picked up a Spectre's Cowl.
Right, I mean, Mundo, I mean, there are not that many big ability power threats yet on the side of World Elite. I mean, because Sukim's Gragas only has that Morellonomicon that does any real damage, and a ward spots out Rua there. Nice ward, trinket ward coming out from Summer. But still, I mean, any health regeneration item is very effective on Mundo, and it's not unusual by at all.
On the other hand, Bruo, with the Spirit of the Elder Lizard on Lee Sin. Oh, it does look like World Elite want to go for the dive. They're pushing out the wave. Let's see if they are going to go into the turret. The culling is being thrown out to try to force the minion wave to back off, but the turret very low on health. Wei Zhao can get off not 1, but 2 auto attacks, and he is going to bring it down. Sonic Wave is going to miss. World Elite take the turret and back away.
Right, I mean, honestly, the reason why the bottom lane of Summer and Tricky Boy from Positive Energy did not back off earlier while the turret was being taken was because Face's Kha'Zix and Jojo's Lulu were already roaming down in order to get a slight, counter gank off, so to speak. But fortunately for World Elite, the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike combo doesn't land, and everything goes back to normal, except for obviously the 2 towers taken at Positive Energy's expense.
Positive Energy is slowly giving up more and more control over the map. Aluko forced to farm underneath his tier 2 turret as Chow Mei is just demonstrating his exceptional control on Shyvana for the time being. Currently at 1-0-0. Not quite #1 farm in the game, but definitely ahead of all of the farm from Positive Energy. Wowjay actually catching Summer with a few auto attacks. A dive in the mid lane as Face jumps onto Ruo. Ruo is able to pick up the kill onto JoJo with the burn from his red buff and Lizard Elder. In the meanwhile, Chow Mei turns it around onto Face. Face is not able to engage these 3 members of World Elite who secure the dive and look like they're going to secure the turret as well.
Right, there should be absolutely no contest for this middle lane turret. I mean, Aluko just simply doesn't. K9s, also known as Aluko, simply does not put out enough damage to kill a Shyvana. But it looks like we might have another kill in the bottom lane. Summer does go down.
Conan and Wei Zhao catch Summer out of position. Dazzle locks him down long enough to allow Wei Zhao to secure the kill. With that Bloodthirster completed and now freedom over this bottom lane, Wei Zhao is going to continue scaling uncontrollably. And building that Bloodthirster, I'm a bit curious to see what Wei Zhao is thinking. He's ahead, so he has a completed Bloodthirster. How is he going to continue spiraling this? Oh, a huge turn catches Tricky Boy. He flashes out of the box, unfortunately falls to Wei Zhao. Face now turning onto Wei Zhao to try to secure the kill, but he's going 1v2 against a Tarek Sivir. Doesn't secure it, puts Wei Zhao on 4-0-1 killing spree Sivir.
This is going pretty disastrously for Team Positive Energy because Sivir is one of those carries that can scales extremely well into the late game, despite offering really excellent sources of crowd control and utility. Right there, we saw Face become a little. Just become way too over-aggressive with his Kha'Zix. He thought he could use a single target damage to get him to pull off a kill on Wei Zhao, but it looks like Chow Mei is going to force K9's out of lane and, back to the dominance of World Elite, I guess.
Oh, Looks like Tricky Boy catches Wei Zhao and Conan recalling in that bush. They're just going to walk away. But like I said, with Wei Zhao on the hyper carry Sivir, and now at 401, he is really turning into a very terrifying Sivir as it stands, especially with Conan's fantastic dazzle catches, locking targets down long enough to allow Wei Zhao to do enormous amounts of damage. What do you think we could be seeing next out of Wei Zhao's items?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he went for a static Shiv, even though they do have Gragas for the wave clear. He can do anything. Wei Zhao actually has, I believe he has 2 or 3 kills that he hasn't cashed in on yet, so he can nearly complete any item that he wishes to, whether that be a Last Whisper or whether that be maybe another Infinity Edge, another BF sword item. Honestly, like the item pathing for Wei Zhao is really open. When you're that far ahead, you can buy a Sword of the Occult and still be fine. So
Wei Zhao,
really, he can do anything right now.
Definitely going to be demonstrating his capacity to use that Sword of the Occult at 401. Whoa, Sukim catches Tricky Boy out of position, throws out a lot of damage. Ignite also taking away, but Jojo going to dissuade any sort of further damage. Sukim now turning on to Jojo, but Face showing up. Looks like this is Chow Mei looking to join the fight. A great flash from Jojo. Dodges the explosive cask, allows him to escape.
I really like that confident play by Sukim, even though dying there would have been... Both teams knew that dying at that specific moment would have essentially gave up Dragon. You can already see the bottom lane for World Elite, Wei Zhao and Conan both recalled because the Dragon's about to respawn in 15 seconds. I believe that most of the members from Positive Energy are recalling as well, so they can all posture for that Dragon. It looks like World Elite is going to have the slight ward covered vision advantage as Rua heads to that bottom lane. As Rua heads to the Dragon Pit to ward things up over there.
And with a 6,500 gold lead, 15 minutes into the game, World Elite look like they're in a very dominant position to secure this Dragon, as Ruo is just going to chunk that down terrifically quickly with his Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Positive Energy don't even try to contest this. If we take a look at the map control, World Elite has got wards all in the jungle of Positive Energy.
When you're 6,000 gold down at 15 minutes, there's absolutely no way you're going to take anything out of a team fight with World Elite at that point. It was very smart of Positive Energy to let the Dragon go. I mean, basically all of Positive Energy's eggs lie in the late game basket at this point. What I said before was that Positive Energy had very soft lanes, so to speak, besides the Lucian Thresh lane, which is a fairly aggressive lane, which is fairly aggressive against the Sivir lane. But another kind of meaning of soft lanes usually means that the lanes scale really well into the late game. So hopefully Positive Energy can find a way to extend team fights, extend objective control, and try to find a way back into this game using the scalings on all of their champions.
Hopefully they will be able to turn it around. Of course, with Summer only on the 2-1 component for his Trinity Force, he's not going to be doing too well. World Elite looking like they want to siege up this turret. Summer could be dived upon. He does get kicked back into the team fight. Conan throws down a good dazzle, and Wei Zhao secures yet another kill with Conan taking the turret. He's going to have to be careful. The rest of World Elite are engaging. Sukim taking a few hits, and whoa, Wei Zhao finally gets shut down. The bonus gold is going to go towards Face, which is going to help him get those assassinations. Ruo looking like he might turn with Conan onto Sukim, but they are going to split up, forcing Jojo to decide which target to go after. But he backs away instead.
Honestly, and this is really... So, K9's Mundo teleported in on the back line actually after the team fight had completely finished, which allowed Chow Mei to get free hits on the turret, so that's a significant misplay on Positive Energy's part. Face also just burned his flash for no reason after he jumped in to dive Chow Mei, after he aggressed on Chow Mei, so that's not good. As I said, I was saying before that Wei Zhao could honestly get any item he wanted to. He just finished his static Shiv, which means he's 2 completed items ahead of his lane counterpart in Summer, so things are going really well for World Elite right now. When you have 5 kills on your All-Star AD carry, it basically means you're in complete control of the game.
And with an 8,500 gold lead, World Elite are definitely keeping the pressure onto Positive Energy. That completed static Shiv is going to let Wei Zhao shove turrets and shove lanes very quickly. A single Ricochet and Boomerang Blade can insta-clear minion waves and further increase his farm advantage. On the other hand, Sukim on Gragas has completed his own Athene's Unholy Grail and added an Amplifying Tome. So I'm a bit curious to see what he has in mind, as he is also doing rather fantastic on Gragas.
Yeah, Sukim for some reason actually just uses explosive cask right there. I don't know why he did it because it didn't even clear the wave that well, but it's explosive cask. Gragas' ultimate is on a fairly short cooldown, so it's not that much of a loss for Team World Elite. Um, Another item buy I would like to point out is Ruo's. I forgot what's the shield called. Say to help me out
Aegis
here. You're the
of
one
the
with all the
Legion.
names. Aegis of the Legion, which means that they can dive whenever they want to, like they are currently doing right now with the Aegis of the Legion proc. So basically,
Dazzle catches Tricky Boy. Chow Mei comes in from behind, but Flash keeps Tricky Boy alive. World Elite going for the dive exactly as you predicted. And with that Locket, soon to be Locket of the Iron Solari, World Elite is going to further increase their advantage now to a solid 10,000 gold lead ahead of Positive Energy 19 minutes into the game, and that's soon to be an 11,000 gold lead as yet another turret falls.
right, I believe that I'm slightly ahead of you in the broadcast again, so I will eventually be pausing it, so you don't need to pause it yourself. But what I was saying before was that Aegis of the Legion is one of those jungle items that junglers say, oh, I have a few thousand extra gold on the other jungler. I don't really need that many more items at this point because at 20 minutes in, I offer a really good balance of damage and utility. Thresh might get cut out here. Yep, that's good night for Tricky Boy. They might posture for this Baron, but Aegis of the Legion is a really good diving tool just because he has the active on that shield, and we can see World Elite now they're going for this Baron, and I believe that's where I am in the broadcast right now. I don't know exactly where you are.
Yeah, I just saw Tricky Boy get absolutely annihilated by World Elite's Death Bush, and they are turning onto the Baron. A little bit of visual bug not showing us the Baron pit, but Aluko is going to spot that out, throw down a ward. We'll have to see whether or not they can get a steal. Face is unfortunately nowhere near the Baron pit, so he's not going to be able to steal that away as it is getting rather low. Chow Mei doing enormous amounts of damage, soaking quite a bit for his team, and the Baron goes over to Ruo. World Elite looking like they might want to get one final item by before the siege onto the enemy base begins.
Honestly, a Baron at 19 minutes, and I think that was 45 seconds, if I'm correct, is really, really telling of how this game is going. I mean, Positive Energy is just getting they're getting absolutely destroyed. The funny thing about this game is that there haven't been a lot of spectacular plays or mechanical outplays that you usually see in Chinese games, and you see JoJo currently pushing the bottom lane, which is the correct thing to do before Weijia comes and clears it out. But Team World Elite has been really methodical in their rotations. They've just been cleaning up kills. They've been doing everything that they basically need to do to put themselves in a position to win. And I've been currently really impressed with this new Team World Elite, even despite the loss of 3 of their better players on the team.
I am very, very interested with what Wei Zhao is doing on Sivir. After getting the Baron buff, picking up a Bloodthirster and Static Shiv, instead of building defensively, he's relying on the peel for his team, Sukim's Explosive Cask and Chow Mei's Dragon's Descent to keep himself alive. And he's using that extra gold, not buying an early defensive item, to opt for what appears to be another damage item. That's going to be an Infinity Edge on the way.
And we see Chow Mei getting a 3-man truckload right there. He's not going to survive that.
1v3, the box being dropped down. He's taking a lot of damage. JoJo burning him away. Ignite takes down Face, getting a solid isolation bonus, and finally ends JoJo's horrendous spree.
Right, and here we see the team of World Elite going down, eventually taking down the turret. But to go back to Wei Zhao's item by the BF sword that you mentioned previously, Wei Zhao knows that he's currently, I think he's either 5-1-1 or 6-1-1, and his only death, he's 5-1-2 actually, and his only death came from during a top lane team fight where he flashed in for the kill on JoJo and then got executed by Face's Kha'Zix. So he knows that basically throughout this game he's been untouched in all the team fights. He feels very safe, and that's what gives him the confidence to buy another BF sword instead of getting a defensive item.
And with this Dragon secured, that's going to increase World Elite's lead to a solid 14,000 gold divided by 5. That comes out to 2,800 gold per champion, which is one solid item buy on each of them. As we can see, the completed Chalice of Harmony added onto Conan's build. That is indicative of a Mikhail's Crucible to give cleanse and healing to Wei Zhao should he ever get caught. So I really do like World Elite's dedication to keeping Wei Zhao alive. That is going to allow Sivir to rush that hyper carry status with absurd amounts of damage and still, through teamwork and coordination, keep him alive for long periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a free inhibitor up right now. Positive Energy should absolutely not contest this. Honestly, they shouldn't even fight for any of the other inhibitor turrets. That's how behind they are right now. The only fight that what Positive Energy basically needs to do is try to wait it out and hopefully get Kha'Zix into the back line and use JoJo's wild growth in order to knock up all of his opponents. But that's a really big far cry. They're gonna go in. They might go in right here, but that'll just be a last-ditch desperation attempt, honestly.
The inhibitor is getting low. We'll have to see if the engage goes in. The inhibitor finally falls. Aluko takes Ignite. He has Sadism, but he's also right next to his Nexus, so he can just walk back and heal that health back right away. World Elite looking like they want to rotate towards the top and take the top inhibitor and turret. The pressure is on for Positive Energy to turn this around, but they are so very far behind, and after losing that inhibitor, I don't know that they're going to be able to do it.
Right. I mean, honestly, all Team World Elite needs to do right now is wait for the super minions to push up into Positive Energy's Nexus while they, slowly burn down this turret. Again, what I said right before, Aegis of the Legion is a really good item for taking down turrets and eventually diving into turrets. I do not know why Sukim used his explosive cast right there. It might just be to zone off a few opponents. It doesn't really matter at this point, just because World Elite is so far ahead. Honestly, one of Gragas's barrels can do disastrous damage to the opponent team. And here we see Wei Zhao taking the team fight.
Aluko going down. He immediately gets burned to 0 and falls. JoJo is forced to back away. Despite even using the wild growth, it's not enough. Face also forced to back away too, while the rest of World Elite take down this inhibitor turret. The very scary Wei Zhao, though, is at nearly full health, even using a health potion to continue regenerating on top of that Bloodthirster regeneration. So that's now 2 inhibitor turrets gone. Let's see if Positive Energy are going to continue the siege at the last remaining inhibitor turret, or if they're going to recall, pick up a few more items, as it is now up to a 15,500 gold lead 25 minutes into the game.
Right. I'm kind of hating my position right now because for some reason, I keep pausing my broadcast, and then I keep getting ahead of you for some reason, so I'm trying to use a prediction game in order to try to fill my comments in, but I think we're doing all right, all things considered. But what's left for World Elite to do is to finally push down that final inhibitor turret. You can see Face trying to buy at least a little bit of time for Positive Energy to regroup. Positive Energy needs to fight under this turret. They need to fight under the turret, and honestly, if they don't, then that's an immediate good game, because if they don't fight under that turret, there will be too many super minions assaulting the base for Positive Energy to do anything. So World Elite can wait for this Baron. Yeah, they can wait for this Baron. It's up in another minute, but honestly, they can end the game. They can end the game right here, no problem. Conan putting up a little bit of aggression on Tricky Boy, but like I said before, all they need to do is just posture for this last turret.
And with the super minions pushing all of the other lanes, this is going to be the easiest inhibitor turret for World Elite to siege. Finally, that Infinity Edge is completed on Wei Zhao, so he is going to be able to chunk that down. Mikhail's Crucible added to Conan's build, so he is going to be able to heal Wei Zhao should Wei Zhao get caught out of position. But for some reason, I don't think that's going to happen, as his positioning in these past few team fights have been phenomenal. I haven't seen him taken below half health since his death earlier in the game. I think that was at 11 or 12 minutes, a solid 15 minutes ago. So great patient play out of Wei Zhao. Looks like World Elite are setting up in a bit of a death bush to try to catch Positive Energy out of position. They are going to see Face clearing a few wards. The rest of Positive Energy throw down a ward, spot out World Elite, and this is what World Elite wants. They have a solid advantage on items. They are very far ahead, and as long as the super minions are continuing to push, they can posture themselves in the jungle and force Positive Energy to decide, do we team fight or do we defend our base? And either way, they lose.
Yeah, honestly, they had to defend their base. There were super minions knocking on the next turrets right there, so they had no other choice to. But yeah, you can see the smiles of the Team World Elite right there. I believe that was Conan who was giving a little bit of a laugh. Honestly, all that's left for World Elite to do is just to go in, and I'm being very honest right now, but just to talk about this game, we can start doing the post-game matchup right now, and We see Aluko dying. There's absolutely no chance for him. But
Dark Passage gets thrown out, but he gets nuked down regardless. One inhibitor, freshly respawned, is going to fall, but with Aluko gone, that is going to be the main tank for Team Positive Energy. As World Elite doesn't even matter about the other inhibitor. They move on to the Nexus turrets. It looks like they're going to secure the Nexus turrets themselves. Conan, very far forward, has got to be careful. Wei Xiao chunking down Tricky Boy, doing enormous amounts of damage, and it looks like Tricky Boy is going to survive, though. But with both Face and Aluko dead, this is going to be the Nexus itself now completely undefended, and World Elite take game number 1 against Positive Energy.
There are two things. I know we're going to get on to the next game, but there are two things before we shut off this broadcast that I really want to talk about. One is the Dr. Mundo pick from K9's. Honestly, he didn't do that bad in lane. Mundo versus Shyvana. Mundo has a losing matchup, but K9's showed really bad decision-making on when to use his teleport. One particular teamfight comes to mind. I wonder if they might show a replay of it. I expect that they will not, but there was a teamfight in the top lane where K9's decided to teleport, and almost a minute after the team fight had happened and the team of World Elite was disengaging, while Chao Mei was just completely dumbstering on the turret in the top lane. It was the second tier turret in the top lane. So there's that. And K9's honestly just did not make the Mundo pick work, and Positive Energy did not give him the sufficient ward coverage, did not put wards in the right places of the map for him to utilize that teleport. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the Kha'Zix pick. Kha'Zix is a jungler that needs to get ahead in the early game. It needs to get ahead, and this is patch 3.15, but even more in the recent patches such as patch 4.13, where jungle Kha'Zix was nerfed a little bit. If a jungle Kha'Zix doesn't get ahead, because of the natural lack of gold there is on the first team fight, he just will not be able to burst a carry down like Sivir, who in addition to a Taric stun has her spell shield that can nullify a lot of Kha'Zix's single target damage. So the composition just did not work out for Positive Energy in that game, and World Elite played their comp to perfection.
World Elite taking game number 1. Again, this is a best of 2 match set, so we're going to go into game number 2 in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Caster Sata. You can follow me on Twitter at Caster Sata, and I'm joined by SouldraXD. Am I allowed to have your Twitter public yet?
Yeah, you can have it. You can follow me at SouldraXD on Twitter. I have 3 followers. I would appreciate more.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll be right back with game number 2 in just a minute.